educational institute most of you have attended seems to be college, which is why Pracharya seems to be what you have said. But now here's a very tricky sentence, so to say, because it looks very simple. आमचे प्राचार्य कडक शिस्तीचे आहेत, जे काय असेल ते. But the thing is, there's a context to everything. And if you're talking about a school, then suddenly the word principal is not pracharya but mukhyaadhyapak. And this is how a translator, professional translator, approaches every single translation. We work with a very popular tractor manufacturing company, and they have these e-learning modules. So the first sentence is good morning. What do you say? How do you translate that in Marathi? Who says that? When was the last time anybody said something like that to you? So this is where most of the people I meet become redundant on translation projects. Nobody has a clue. We translated it as Ram Ram simply because anything that's in English that goes to places like Pune and Mumbai, I think we can even retain it as good morning because that's what any average person would say to anybody he meets or she meets. But if you're translating this into Marathi, then in all probability you're translating this for a regional audience and they do not really speak English, which means you're really going into their mind and you're trying to figure out how they speak. So an average person in a village would say Ram Ram Pauna. So you just retain the Ram Ram, remove the Pauna, and there you go with the translation. So these are the kind of challenges we face even today. So seemingly people get into institutes and come out of institutes, but they somewhere tend to forget that, they probably don't even know their own mother tongues well. And they really are fooled by the thought that they're going to get into some institutes, do a couple of courses, maybe 4, 5, 6 courses, and then at the end of that, they feel they know the language. And our problem is not that we do not have people who probably don't know enough. Even if they know enough, they finally do not know what, as a professional translator, they need to know is that their learning has only started. And language, knowing a language and being able to use it, being able to apply what you have learned are very different skills. So I think, coming back to your question, the challenge has been, is, and probably in the short term will continue to be a lack of trained resources. And we are really, as I said, there is business, there is a lot of work that comes our way, but unfortunately we can't take it up because the only way we can take it up is do a mediocre job, which was again a choice we made. So I don't think there is any other challenge.
Okay, yeah. I think this resource problem is prevalent in some other fields also. Like we are also from software and we face the same problem. Talking about something else, I mean, you talked about this issue of lack of trained people. So I think sort of to address that or even increase the awareness of language and translations, I think you wrote a book, right? Can you tell us something about that? And I have a follow-up question later.
Yeah, the book was a culmination of a lot of things. The book was basically a result of all my frustrations. So every say 15 days there used to be somebody, can you come and speak to a student, can you come and speak somewhere about, because this, you look at yourself being, I started feeling I'm some kind of a joker, so I have to go and perform. I say the same things, the audience changes, then I again say the same thing, so nothing was changing. So what I thought was the best thing to do is put everything in a book and say, okay, here it is. So if you read this, you don't have to ask me a lot of questions, and then if you meet, after you read the book, then we at least move forward. So the book came much later. What started earlier was all these endless talks and lectures that I have delivered. I guess very easily 500, 400 at least, if not more. Various places all across India, universities, language institutes, whoever cared to invite me and listen to me. And that was the first step, so to say, what we decided we want to do about the resource crunch, so to say. So you reach out to people, try and tell them that, look, this is something that can really earn you money. And which I continue to say, probably later in the conversation we'll talk about that. This is a field for everybody. My book starts with the basic sales pitch, so to say, that anybody can become a translator, but not everybody can become a translator. So anybody who really has basic language skills can do it. So essentially it started with that and it ended with the book. So
okay. And then the follow-up question is probably an anecdotal sort of thing. I know typically when people write books, they look for somebody to write a foreword, but something different happened with the book. You want to talk about that?
yeah, in the sense having been a salesman for most part of my life, I knew that I was a nobody, so no matter what I wrote, it was going to have limited value. And yeah, I have my own, so to say, audience. So anybody who learns a language would normally have heard of me or the company, or we normally would meet. There aren't too many places to go, so it's not like we are very big or I am too great. There's just lack of options, so people usually know me. But beyond that, if I really want to sell my field or my profession, how do I do it? Because if I say there is a need for languages, that's not going to bring about a revolution. So I was thinking who could be the person I could really involve in this entire, so to say, initiative that we were taking of mobilizing people to take up translations as a profession. And the very obvious name that cropped up was of Narayana Murthy, and I said, but how am I really going to reach him? So again, simplest of things, I picked up the phone, I called the Infosys board number, I said I want to speak to Mr. Narayana Murthy. So the person didn't actually believe I was saying that. He said, who? I said, Mr. Narayana Murthy. He said, okay, that's a little difficult, but I can connect you to his PA. I said, not bad for a start. I said, okay. So I landed up speaking to his PA, and then I said, okay, I am a nobody, I am writing a book, and I just want him to give me a foreword for the book, and I want you to give me the opportunity to write to him as to why I want him to do that. And I just want to make sure that my mail or letter or whatever it is reaches him. And thereafter, if he decides not to act on it, I'm quite okay with it. He was quite a sweet guy, and he said, okay, I'll really do my best to ensure that it reaches him. I said, fair enough. So I wrote a big email, and it was a very simple, basic, heart-to-heart conversation kind of an email. So I didn't say your esteemed organization or something like that, which people write in CVs and all. So they have written that to even our company. So I think we are not very esteemed, but they do it as a matter of practice. So it was a very no-frills kind of a mail, saying that, look, here I am, you could be what you are, but I think I am the same in my own field. And the only problem is I'm not as big as you, so can you help me? The essence was this. So if you actually lend your name to my book, people are going to believe what I have written because you are involved. And that would probably even make your own life easy, because your industry needs my industry more than my industry needs my industry. So I guess somewhere he found the letter interesting. First of all, I think it just reached him in the first place, and then he found it worth his time. So he said, okay, I want to read what this guy has written. So I got a mail in about a month's time, by which I had already lost all hope, so to say, that he would ever reply. This guy actually calls me up and says, sir, would like to read a part of your book. So I sent him a part of my book, and he was quite convinced that he wanted to do this. He said, brilliant salesman, he said, I won't give you a foreword. So I said, I was quite disheartened, because God knows what he was going to do. He said, I'll give you a blurb, it's better. I said, how? He said, the foreword is inside the book, the blurb is behind the book. So people can't miss it. I said, wow. So the blurb is, of course, a lot smaller, but it does the trick, because I'm on the front page, he's on the back page. Now, people suddenly don't find me as uninteresting as they would have, minus and then I really had the pleasure of meeting him. Again, I'm not saying honor, because that's, I don't know, that's just how people talk, but I had the pleasure of meeting him. He's such an unassuming, simple guy. And yeah, I guess that's the story behind the book, and it's been now 2 years, already sold one entire huge edition, second edition coming out. The book was already